We just spent 15 months living in El Salvador, and let me tell you, it has been an incredible experience. But it also taught us some very hard lessons. You see all the headlines about the country's new safety, investment technology, and schools, and of course, Bitcoin. But the day-to-day reality, like renting a house or just buying groceries, can be wildly different than what you read online. So before you pack a single bag, we're sharing the essential practical advice we wish that someone had given us. And you're going to want to stick around for this because some of these lessons were expensive, some were frustrating, but all of them were crucial if you're seriously thinking about making the move. Buenas tardes, mis amigos y bendiciones para todos ustedes. Good afternoon, my friends, and blessings to you all. My name is Charity Hagenars, and bienvenido a mi canal if you are new here, y bienvenido de nuevo if we're already old amigos. Si no habla inglés, vea la configuración de YouTube y selecciona pista de audio para escuchar este video en español, o presione el botón CC para obtener subtítulos en español. My last month's video didn't seem as popular, so I am changing these monthly videos up, starting with this month. Tell me in the comments what you think of this new format. For those of you who are new here, we're a family that decided to leave our old life behind in Canada and see what El Salvador was really all about. We weren't just passing through. We put our kids in local public school, we bought a car, we wrestled with the bureaucracy, started a tour business, bought a van, and truly built a life here for over a year. Now this video isn't to scare you off or to tell you not to go. Not at all. It's about getting you ready for what's really coming. We're going to break down the 3 biggest reality checks we had, the true cost of living, what freedom actually feels like day to day, and the absolute nightmare that can be navigating the bureaucracy from immigration to schooling. We'll give you the real numbers, the personal stories, and the tips we had to learn the hard way. All right, first up, the cost of living. This is the big one, right? You probably heard El Salvador is cheap, and that's a huge part of the appeal. And yes, compared to the United States, Canada, or Europe, it absolutely is. But cheap is a very misleading word. Your budget's going to depend entirely on the lifestyle you want. And the typical expat lifestyle costs a lot more than you think, and certainly more than the local population here. Let's talk numbers. Data shows a single person can expect to spend between $1,300 and $1,500 a month, while a family of 4 is looking at anywhere from $2,800 to $3,200. When we first saw figures like that, we thought, no way, that seems high for El Salvador. But after 15 months, we can tell you they are spot on if you want to maintain a certain level of comfort. Now, the biggest shock for us was the grocery bill. You'll hear that a basic food basket for a family in an urban area is only about $250 a month. And that's true for local families shopping at local markets. But let's be honest, as an expat, you are going to want some comforts from home. That means trips to supermarkets like Super Selectos, which is a bit more pricier than the other ones, or Price Mart for things like decent olive oil or your kid's favorite cereal or a block of imported American cheese. Those trips add up, and they add up fast. Our family's grocery bill was consistently anywhere from $300 to $1,300 a month, a far cry from sub $300 budget we had in our heads. Then you have utilities. The baseline for electricity, water, internet is very reasonable, $100 to $150 a month. But here's what no one tells you. That bill will explode if you use air conditioning. And in the Salvadorian heat, trust me, you're probably going to want to put it on. In our first 6 weeks, we stayed in an Airbnb and we ran the AC units in 3 of the bedrooms, 24/7. Now we had, in my mind, had the temperature set high. It's like 26 degrees. I haven't set to 31 right now, so I know 26 was kind of low, I guess. But anyway, I was not thinking. And we got the bill, and it nearly knocked us over. It was $600. It was nearly quadruple that of what the Airbnb host said it would be. And we all kind of freaked out. So we learned very quickly, you use it sparingly and rely on fans instead. Transportation is another story. The public bus is incredibly cheap. You can get around for pennies. But as a family, we just felt more comfortable using Ubers or driving our own car. And once you own a car, you're paying for gas and maintenance and maybe insurance, which aren't really that much cheaper than back home, except for the insurance, which is less than half here than it is in Canada. So here's hard lesson number 1. El Salvador can be affordable, but you have to budget for an expat lifestyle, not the local averages. Don't get fooled by the idea of living off a few $100s unless you are fully ready to live like a local, which is a much bigger adjustment than most people realize. Here is our general cost breakdown for the month from October 20th to November 19th. Our rent is $850 a month. That's a 4-bedroom, 4-bathroom house. We pay a security and maintenance fee of $35 to live in a gated community. Our electricity was $128.71. Now, that was running the AC pretty sparingly, mostly when I'm in my office writing the scripts and filming, maybe 8 hours a week, could be more. Plus the hot water heater, lights, plugs, etc. Our water from ANDA, which is the local water supplier, is only $3.25 a month. But our drinking water, we still buy the, big tanks. $62 is approximately what we spend. Cooking gas, we didn't have to buy one last month, but I just ran out, so I'll have to do it again next month. But that's only $12. I only need it about every 2 months. Our internet is $32.98. Our cell phones are $51. That's usually a $12 plan for Willem, Annika, and GJ, and a $15 plan for me. Our groceries, I'm going to put $780. Now, I'm going to round this off as we've been here and I have over a year's worth of data now, and this is for an average family of 5. So I'm just going to say that's the average. So it gives you a good idea what to spend. Now for school, that's $51. That's for the busing for the partial month, for the last month of busing. It was only $17 per child instead of $22.50. So we won't have that next month because we don't go back to school till January. That's what the school cost was this month for the busing. Now eating out, we've decided we're only going to eat out now once a week, and it's $160.25. Entertainment, now again, this is the expat lifestyle. That's $39.81. That's for my Amazon Prime, my Netflix. I use Twinkle, which is an app I use for teaching ESL to the kids at school. So these are things you don't necessarily have to have, optional. Now, I normally have household goods here. I'm going to remove this one as everyone can choose what they want to spend on things like decorations, furniture, bedding, curtains. These are all extras. So you put your own budget together for that and you spend what you can afford to spend, right? Just because I spent, X number of dollars over the last 15 months doesn't mean you have to do the same, okay? These are, for creature comforts, we'll say. Now, for transportation, it's a little high this month. We had $302.18. That's like 1 tank of gas, or diesel in this case. But we had some repairs made to the Veracruz because there was something, diesel leaking out the top engine. So, I don't know. I'm not a car person. We went to the Laboratorio Diesel and we got that done. $200 and some was for that. Now medical, it's a little high this month, $477.06. That's $40 for Willem's braces checkup. But we're seeing a health coach and we got some blood work done for him. And that was $277 for both of us to get done. And then based on that, I ordered some meds from Amazon. I think that was $160 plus I had to pay for the delivery. So it's a little higher this month than we normally pay. For pets this month, that's $53.50 because I got one of my kittens neutered. Pet food is included under the groceries, so I don't have that separately. So that's a total of $3,026.74, and this is with the extra medical and the car repairs and the cat surgery this month. That's not a typical month necessarily, those expenses, but that's maybe what you could think about spending as a family of 5 living a somewhat, expat style lifestyle, we'll say. It's not how locals live necessarily. I mean, we do buy our groceries in the markets, but I still go to PriceSmart to get cheese. Section number 2, we're going to talk about freedom beyond the headlines. Now, okay, let's talk about freedom. This is what everyone's talking about, even if they call it safety. Our country has gone through an historic change under President Bukele. The headlines don't lie. Crime has plummeted. This has created a new sense of freedom that was unthinkable just a few years ago. Like just 3 years ago. It's crazy. We've felt it. The freedom to walk around our neighborhood, go to malls, visit tourist spots, whatever it is, day or night, without constantly having to look over your shoulder. Now, there's a heavy police and military presence, which brings a tangible peace of mind. In Canada, I once had this creep follow me off the highway and into my work parking lot and park beside me and tell me my signal light was burned out and that he could fix it. I was so terrified. It was so creepy. I don't have fears like that here. But in Canada, I had fears like that. It's like, that was crazy stuff. And I think having a huge police and military presence actually makes you feel safer when you're walking around, especially when I have to deposit money into my bank account at the bank machine. I know if any weirdo approached me, I could just scream and like 10 armed guards would be knocking that guy to the ground before we knew it. But that being said, don't be stupid and flash wealth around. There could be opportunists out there waiting for that, and the armed guards could be just too far away to get your valuables back. The safest neighborhoods for expats are generally in gated communities, which I swore we'd never live in. But it turns out They are the communities with all the fun stuff for kids, like pools and playgrounds and soccer fields, basketball courts, to name a few of what we have in our community. But honestly, our best advice is to connect with people that live here. Get to know your neighbors. We have made some great friends here, and we have several people that we can call if we ever need anything. Now, this newfound freedom isn't just about statistics, which show how much safer El Salvador is compared to Canada or the United States. It's about a rebirth for the people living here. It has created such a feeling of hope in this country. Canada is going down, and El Salvador is rising up, and that feeling is palpable in the air. In section 3, I want to talk about bureaucracy, specifically regarding immigration and schooling. Schooling is quite fun here. This right here was our biggest single frustration. If there was one thing we wish we were prepared for, is this: navigating the bureaucracy. Where we come from, you fill out some forms online, you schedule an appointment, and you're done. In El Salvador, it's a completely different ballgame. First off, the official process for things like residency permits or enrolling kids in school, it can be opaque, right? The real system often runs on word of mouth, personal connections, and hiring the right local lawyer or fixer who knows how to get things done. Now, the best advice is never advertise on government websites. This process is exhausting. We had some friends help us get a translator and a notary to do our initial temporary residency applications back in October 2024. We had to go to immigration 3 times to get all the documents correct. In fact, on the 3rd time, there was still a copy-paste error between 2 of my kids' birth certificates, and our friend decided to just run that document back to the notary and translator to fix it, so we didn't have to come back a 4th time. And we didn't have a car then, so there were 5 of us and our 2 friends, so we had to rent a microbus twice to get us all to the immigration place. And that was another $60 to $75 each time. So be prepared, or get an all-inclusive immigration package like Living Like a Local has, or talk to me. I have a translator and a notary right around us here in Lourdes who helped us get our residency renewal. And now that we know the process, it was much smoother. And we only had to go once, and it was less than 2 weeks we had our new residency cards for the renewal. Whether it's immigration or finding the right school and navigating their specific enrollment process, nothing was as straightforward as we had hoped. Now, the school system was another thing that took several appointments with the Ministry of Education. One thing we did not do before moving here was to get the kids' report cards notarized and apostilled. That was an added expense and could have delayed us. I had another amazing friend in Canada, Chris, and she helped us get those documents notarized and apostilled, and then I had a delivery company, we used Eurosender, to pick up those documents at her place and bring them here. And I think it was 2 days, and it was about $60 for that shipping for those documents. So the report cards were something that could have delayed us, but my kids started on time, and we needed to have all the paperwork in by the end of February, I believe it was, or early March. So we had about a month or so to get all the paperwork done, but it would have been better if I would have brought it with me, obviously. And now that the kids have made it through the year, I can tell you the paperwork isn't ending. We have to re-enroll the kids into school again for next year. It's not automatic. And the school requires meetings to deliver everything the kids get, from textbooks, uniforms, shoes, pencils, laptops, math sets, report cards, pictures, and to pick up paperwork to re-enroll. In Canada, all those things are actually given to the children or emailed to the parents. Here, we have to go in person, which means if you have a job, you need to schedule a day off about once every month or 2 to attend all these meetings. And because my children attend school at different times of the day, I need to go twice. Yesterday, for example, we were at the school most of the day. The morning was to hear the address from a person from the Ministry of Education, and then the principal gave an accountability address. Now, that man can stretch a dollar, I tell you. It looks like from Google Translate that he had about $18,000 to spend for the school year. Now, I'm not sure what exactly was given at no cost to the school, but he broke down all the costs for that $18,000 right down to like the toilet paper and the sanitary pads. Like he broke everything down. And I would love to see that report in print, because he was really good with the money. Like, he figured out how to make that money last. And when he got to our donation for the parking lot, he got me to stand up, and then everyone clapped, and that was really nice. He mentioned it was a Korean company working on the highway that provided the gravel and lent them the grader and the steamroller to level it out. And then the morning session had awards for grades 1 to 9. And then we went to the classrooms, and we got the whole file for Lawrence and Donica, and including all the copies of the apostilled report cards and copies of their birth certificates, which is the short one, the cardstock ones that we were left with, as immigration actually kept the long form that was apostilled. They kept that. I don't have those anymore. And then they gave us the new report cards. And then we came back at 1 o'clock after running a few errands and having a snack and repeated the whole process over again. But this time there were no awards for the kids, and we were not given Willem's complete school file. We had to go stop at the secretary's office and pay $1 and get an application form for Willem to go next year. And I have to go back another 2 days. Once is to get, I thought, the matriculous stuff for Annika and Lawrence. I already have Willem, so I think it's just for them too. And then I go back the next day to deliver them all to the school. So like it's not done. And you know, it's quite a process. We left at 8:30 in the morning and we didn't get home to 3:45. And I was beat. I had to take a long nap. All the kids did really well for not knowing the language. Lawrence failed math and his language and literature course. So he's repeating grade 9 again. And he is very much okay with that. In the beginning, we told them all that we didn't care if they actually passed or failed this year. It was really just for the experience. The next year is the real year. So we were a bit surprised actually that 2 of them did actually pass. We're all working on learning the language. That is the biggest hurdle for them. But Lawrence has autism. I don't know if you haven't been on this channel very long, you probably wouldn't know that. My son has autism. He's 15 years old now and he learns differently. And he's always struggled with math, but they just pushed him through in Canada. And now he's like 3 or 4 grades behind. So everyone says how great the Canadian schools are. I don't think that's greatness, to be honest. So here's our hard-earned lesson. Do not underestimate how much time, energy, and stress it takes to navigate the system. Your best move is to join an expat Facebook group or our WhatsApp group before you even arrive. Ask for contacts for trusted lawyers or facilitators who specialize in immigration and school enrollments. And just be mentally prepared for a marathon, not a sprint. Look, if this kind of real on-the-ground advice is helpful to you and you want more honest insights into what expat life is really like, then please take a second and hit the like button and subscribe to our channel. It's just a small click for you, but it genuinely makes a huge difference and lets us keep making videos like this. And if you want to join our WhatsApp group, email me your WhatsApp number to youtube@hagenars.com and see the description below for our Monday night calls at 7 p.m. El Salvador time. Last week, we discussed job and business opportunities here in El Salvador. We normally just hang out and chat and answer questions. About 10 to 15% of our group already lives here, so you don't just get advice from me, but from the wealth of knowledge from people already living here. It's our tribe. Section 4, reflecting on our journey. So after all the budget surprises, the freedom adjustments, and the bureaucratic headaches, would we have done it all again? Was it worth it? Absolutely 100% yes. No questions asked. Seeing everything that's going on in Canada today, it was 200% worth it to leave and to come here. Living in El Salvador has been one of the best experiences our family's ever had. But it was a success because we learned to adjust our expectations to the reality on the ground. We took a scouting trip here in 2023, so we already knew what was going to happen when we got here, or at least had some ideas about what life was really like here. You need to easily adapt and not expect everything to be like it was in the countries you're leaving. Otherwise, why leave? So if you're thinking about the move, here's our top 3 pieces of advice. Boiled down. For any bureaucratic process like immigration or schooling, take whatever you budgeted for time and money and double it. It will almost always cost more and take longer than you thought. Embrace the new freedom El Salvador offers. Enjoy the peace of mind, but don't get complacent. True freedom comes with personal responsibility. Canada and other Western countries have lost their freedom due to apathy. And learn some basic Spanish. It is the single most powerful tool you will have. It opens doors, it builds trust, and it turns you from being a visitor into being part of the community. El Salvador is a beautiful country, filled with some of the warmest, most resilient people that we've ever met. It's in the middle of an incredible comeback story, like a true phoenix rising from the ashes. But it's not a perfect paradise. It's a real place with its own complexities. And if you go in prepared for the challenges, you'll be so much more ready to enjoy all the wonderful things it has to offer. We've shared our experience, but everyone's journey is unique. What are your biggest questions or fears about moving to El Salvador? Drop them in the comments below. We read every single one of them, and we'll do our best to answer. See you in the next one.
Don't forget to hit the like button.